introduce yourself, partner?
My name is Elijah.
Elijah. And right now we are Gage and Cage, Vampire's Kiss.
Dream of me, my angel. Dream of me.
Holy shit. What a good movie.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. So, I'd never heard of this movie before. Elijah introduced it to me. Nicolas Cage movie from, what was it, 1989?
89. I think it filmed in 88, yeah, but 89 is when it was released.
Filmed it 88, 89. Took a couple years to make, as movies tend to do.
If you're gonna make a series reviewing Cage movies, then you want to start with I think you want to start with this movie.
Yeah. Great choice. Fuck, I don't even know where to fucking begin on this thing. First of all, spoiler alert, if you've not seen Vampire's Kiss, turn this off right now and go fucking watch it.
If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. It's awesome. And then come back and, this is all recorded, so you can come back and watch this later if you want to. Yeah, so that being said, let's jump right into it.
What's some first thoughts you had on it? You want to talk
Well,
about
my first
something?
thoughts, so I took notes while we were watching it. So I just want to start from the beginning, because that's the easiest thing. So going blind into I had no idea what I was getting into here. I knew it was a Nicolas Cage movie. Elijah said that it was like one of his earlier kind of roles, but Raising Arizona happened before this, which I always thought was like one of his bangers. He said that didn't do very good in the box office.
No, this movie did not do well.
Which is also kind of amazing, because you would think after a movie like Raising Arizona that like people would like flock out to the next one. I don't know why that happened. Yeah, so just starting off, it starts off in New York City, and you see like a bunch of I don't know, buildings and the
Establishing shots.
sun, and
I don't know who's the director of this movie.
I don't fucking know, man.
I can look that up. Hang on, I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Director.
The guy that wrote it, I was just looking into it. They said that he was like depressed as shit when he wrote it. Joseph Minion.
Mm-hmm.
He was miserably depressed. He was quoted as saying, "It was a very bad time. It was very cold, and I was in a toxic relationship when I wrote this film."
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that for I don't know when we get further on into the movie, but
Yeah, whenever.
director is Robert Bierman. What else has he done? Well, anyway, he likes establishing shots. Clearly,
Yeah.
Get a lot of them.
Yeah, and it's also like spooky music, so I'm going into this thinking like this is gonna be like kind of scary.
It's gonna be a horror movie.
A little bit, it starts with a saxophone, but once the saxophone goes away, it's like spooky music. And yeah, let's just fucking walk through this fucking thing. He goes on like a hot date
Yeah,
with
Jackie.
Jackie, I think is her name.
Yeah, Peter goes on a nice date with Jackie.
And they get fucking wasted, like in the club. He picks her up at the bar, presumably, or maybe they're already on a date. They don't really say that. But, yeah, so that's going on, and, okay, so the first thing that stands out in this movie is the way, Peter, the character, played by Nicolas Cage, the way he talks is very, how do you even describe the way he talks? It's like,
I think, I didn't research that part, but I feel like he's always trying to evoke something in his roles. I think it's evocative of maybe like 30s film. Well, maybe not that because, I feel like that'd be silent film, but any kind of older movie, they have, the stranger upper class accents. And I think maybe that's what he was going for.
but it's like almost British, but it's not.
Almost.
It's not.
Almost.
It's not
It's-
English. It's like he's like. I'm afraid to even like try to do the accent because it's so weird.
But you look at like the
It's
older.
like my name is Peter and I talk like this and I work in literature.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it's just like Jimmy Stewart or Cary Grant. They all have just like a very specific way of speaking. Katharine Hepburn. They all have a very specific way of speaking. That might be what he was going for. That's what I'm thinking. Like 50s and 60s, those actors back
It's so odd though because the movie takes place in like the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else talks like that.
No, nobody else
Everyone
talks
is
like that.
totally normal. I mean, they dress like late 80s and they have the hairdos and all that stuff, but he is the only character in the movie that talks like which might come into play later about him. I mean, I already gave y'all a spoiler alert, but he's crazy like in the movie. So maybe that's just a part of him being crazy. It's just like that's just a part of my personality. But to kind of go back on what I just said, people treat him like normal. Like he's able to pick up women. There's a scene with him with his bosses, and they're all laughing and they're all joking, and he's a high up like in his business.
It comes down to I think that was the director's one of his first movies, and Nicolas Cage, up and comer. He did Raising Arizona, so he's like, I'm gonna make my own choices. It was his choice to do a few things in that movie. Like the accent, him jumping up on the desk when he went and found Elva.
Since he had like a hit film, he has a little bit more.
A little leeway.
Well, especially since it's, like you said, a new director.
Yeah.
He can kind of do whatever he wants. Like, are you going to be the one that tells Nicolas Cage like, like I don't know, maybe do it like this?
I can't imagine being that guy to be like,
yeah,
I want that to be on film because Nicolas Cage and everyone will love it.
Yeah, it's a really odd take. You're just talking like this. Like it goes even beyond the weirdness of usual like Nic Cage. Like it's like
that's what makes the movie.
It's
what
really
makes it a cult
extra.
classic though.
All right, so he's talking like that. He's hooking up with this girl. She asks him. She's like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I work in literature," which is very vague. But she goes with it. They're drunk. They're wasted. They're having a good time. They go up to his apartment. It's nice. He's wearing a suit. They get right down to it.
Get into it, yeah, right.
And while they're like getting into it, a bat pops into the room.
The bat comes in.
Bat comes in, and the girl freaks out.
That's the plot in motion, really.
Yeah, and that kind of gets things going. And then they leave the apartment. She freaks out, and then whatever. Kind of a non-event, right? Sort of like
You would think so.
But yeah, apparently that does set the plot in motion. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what we're talking about. Let's see. Getting some early. Oh, there's some titty action. You get to see some boobs, so that's pretty cool. She's pretty good looking too. Like she had a really nice body. They're small, but they're nice. Like
A little bit of nudity for an 89 movie.
Sorry, I'm jumping around here. I gotta pee like really bad. You think you can hold this down for like 2 minutes?
You want me to talk about the naked actress for 2 minutes?
Yeah.
You got to go. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to keep
Or
going
Nic Cage, whatever.
into the plot?
Yeah, whatever, man. Whatever.
Go into the plot. I mean, I was gonna go in depth about nudity in the scene, but what did you have next in your notes? Let me go. The bat. What's some notes, man? It talks really weird. It goes from that scene, a little good old love scene, into his place of work. They want you to know that he's working literature, what he does there. And this is the introduction of, I want him to be here to talk about this, but the introduction of Elva, and poor Elva. We'll talk about Elva a little more.
Oh, Alba.
Oh, here he comes.
Poor Alba.
Poor Elva. I think it's Elva, A-L-V-A.
I think it's B-A. I think it's Alba.
Alba?
I'm
pretty sure it's Alva.
You think so?
I don't think Alba's a name.
It's hard to tell because the way Nic Cage talks, like, what the fuck is he even saying?
Sure, but I'm
And you don't even find out his name is
Elva.
Peter.
It's Alva for sure.
Alva?
Alva.
It says?
Mhm.
Shit. And yeah, you don't find out his name is Peter until, like,
Oh, yeah.
Well into the movie.
Names are like, I don't think you find out, we'll get into that, but You don't find out his name until later on. You find out, I think her name is the first one you hear.
Yeah, and what a dick.
What a dick.
Well, actually, opening at the first time you see him interacting with Alva. Oh, cool. We got a viewer. In case you're wondering, we're talking about Vampire's Kiss, Nic Cage, and if you haven't seen it, watch it. Whatever. But yeah, the first time he's talking to Alva, it's not that bad. I mean, he's upset about a report or something.
He's tired. Well, not tired. He's upset that a file went missing. It was a contract for a writer. So it was an old file, but
yeah,
he went and searched for it, and it wasn't where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and he's like, "Please go find it," is what he says, and it's like, okay, and you can tell that she's nervous to be there, and you can kind of tell that he's a dick, even though in this conversation he's not. But you can tell there's like a little bit of history.
Yeah, she's uncomfortable with him, and then the next scene shows him speaking to a therapist. Or actually, no, it starts with a therapist, doesn't it? Therapist into the party, and then getting some action, and a titty scene, and then you see her scene with Alva because it shows him talking to the therapist.
Yeah, I didn't write the therapist down because I didn't know that was notable at the time. As first time watching it, so I didn't know. So yeah, I just considered that a thing. But yeah, he's in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Mm-hmm. It's a very important part, really.
Alva is wearing shoulder pads.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Late 80s. I'll be wearing the shoulder pads.
I wrote that down just because
it was notable to you.
It was notable to
the
me.
shoulder pads were notable, but not the therapy.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, she was wearing a dress with shoulder pads. Like, I don't know. I'd never seen that before. But I guess I was, not old enough to, back then.
Oh, yeah, she noticed him. You just said his pants were really short, but it really was, she noticed him, his sock was missing.
Because, I think both of his socks were missing. And I
don't know why they decided to put an emphasis on that, because he went back to his apartment later and he found the sock on the floor.
Found one sock, yeah.
He found the sock later, but I'm just like,
I feel like his pants were too short. I don't know if that was an oversight with the movie or maybe the way he was sitting, because you know how sometimes you sit and if you put your leg up or something,
I think
your pant leg will come up.
They wanted to show that I think they wanted her to notice that he probably didn't sleep at his place that night. And he wasn't wearing a sock on that.
And she notices, Alva notices he's not wearing socks. He's in full business suit, dress shoes, all that stuff. Interesting enough, as she's walking out, he checks out her calves and ankles as well.
Yeah, I don't know why
I think it kind of goes into him being crazy because he ends up raping her. Spoiler alert. We already said that there would be spoilers. So I think that kind of plants the seed of attraction.
Yeah.
And then that kind of
not that
it's
necessary, but
it's more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of plants that seed of he is attracted to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's very brief and subtle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens. She has shoulder pads, no socks. He's really happy with his life. He sings.
Yes.
Do you know the song? He's like so he had just recently got laid. And I think this is this before or after he fucked the vampire? Again, I was just kind of taking notes, never seeing this, so I didn't know what to look out for.
I don't know. This is.
Oh yeah, but he's really happy. I think it's after because it's the scene where he has the coffee, right? And
he's got the robe on.
He's going like dig a dip, bop bop bop.
And that's why he actually had the bandage on. Well, you just mentioned that is he.
So I skipped over.
He goes back to the club and he picks up another girl, and he brings her back and she bites him.
Yeah.
And then it shows him shaving right afterwards, and he cuts himself shaving. He has a bandage on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he's singing her. He's walking around singing.
Yeah, so he's got coffee, and he's just super happy with his life. He just digging it, and his song is amazing. And it kind of goes back to just Nic Cage's performance in this movie. It's just just fantastic.
That's why you got to go to this one first. This is his. I think if there's a better Nic Cage performance, I don't know which one. I don't know where to look.
Yeah, I don't know either. But yeah, he's going around, he's singing a song, diggy 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 bop 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 ba 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 all that stuff. I have, well, fuck you too, sister. Who did he say that to?
He said it to the first girl because later on he ditches her because that vampire girl shows up and pulls him back up into his room.
Is that before or after?
No, this is the museum. He ditches her at the museum. He says he has to go piss.
Mhm.
And then he walks out. And she calls him and leaves a message. She says, "Fuck you, you fuck."
Yeah.
You
fuck.
I've never been called a fuck. Have you ever been called a fuck?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
But
But anyway, he just says, "Well, fuck you too, sister." And yeah, just to, basically to himself because it was a voicemail. But you know,
that's right. Yeah, he ditched a girl at a museum without even saying, like, I gotta go or anything. Like,
Yeah,
he
just
literally
lets
just,
go piss, yeah.
he's out. And she leaves a voicemail, calling him a fuck, because he is. And
that's the thing, is that he's not a likable character.
and he's laying there on the couch. He's like, yeah, well, fuck you too, sister. Or how, I can't even do his fucking voice.
Yeah.
Fuck you too, sister.
I don't even attempt it.
I tried.
He's a big dick to Elva. So
Yeah.
is that the scene where he jumps up and says, "Found you"?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's also when you find out she's got a gun.
No, not yet. We're jumping ahead.
Oh yeah, that's something.
We're jumping ahead a lot, actually, because I like I said, I was just kind of taking notes on stuff that was. I didn't know what you knew going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know that he was crazy. Had I known that going into this, I would have taken notes specific to that. But as a person blind to this, I thought that he was actually getting bitten by a vampire. I thought he was having an affair with the vampire, which is actually what makes this. That's the redeeming factor of this movie, is they trick you. They do a pretty good job, I think, for the most part, and then they reveal it in certain ways later on. Well, obviously, they make it really obvious later on. But they make it really subtle at first. So like I didn't catch it. Like, I thought that he was legit a vampire and that this was like going on and like all that stuff. Like, I didn't even think that it was all like in his head. Which is fucking that. Like I said, that was the redeeming factor, because I'm watching this movie. I'm thinking, like, this movie's actually like not that good. Like, it's not. It just goes on, which I will say it's way too long.
It is too long.
This movie is way too long.
Damn.
2 hours almost of. I don't know. It's too much, I think.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's it's a new director. It's probably like inexperienced people. There's probably some fat that could be cut.
Sure.
But I enjoy the whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. Yes, we brought up the establishing shots. They want us to know we're in New York City because later on
they could have saved a minute just cutting that.
Yeah, but once you know you're in New York City,
there are a lot of shots like that are kind of like random. So you think, what about the bat? Like the bat that where?
I think that's the beginning of
Do you
his
think
mental
the bat
break.
is
So
real? Well, the bat is real because the girl sees it.
He saw the bat, yeah,
And the girl sees the bat.
Girl sees the bat. So I think that's the beginning of his mental break. He's having,
But no, what I'm saying is, where did this fucking bat come from? And that's a big ass bat too. Like, you don't see.
New York City is in a shady part of the city. Bat just flies into his
Do
window.
they have bats that big? I mean, it's a big, it's a huge bat. It's not a little bat.
Like a normal sized bat. I've seen larger bats.
Bats are little, and especially the further north you go, I feel like the smaller they get.
It's a movie.
I'm just saying.
They need to nail. They're like, this is a bat,
It's a
so I think
big ass bat.
it's part of the mental break where he's getting down to business, and a bat shows up, and he puts his mind puts the two together, and he's like, I'm gonna be a vampire.
But very subtle. It's a subconscious thought that happens.
Yeah.
He's not actually thinking, I'm going to be a vampire, but his subconscious is like, which actually is a whole other level of this movie being amazing, is how subtle it is even to himself. Because there are things, he puts the shades down, or, he starts wearing sunglasses. Like, he's not automatically thinking in his mind, I'm a vampire. He is actually, in his mind, turning into a vampire without knowing that he's turning into a vampire. Yeah. Because he's not, you don't see scenes of him being like, oh my god, I'm turning into a vampire. It's more like, subtle things keep happening to him, and he's transitioning into a vampire, and then he comes to the realization that he's missed. So it's a very solid form of mental trickery, which actually makes me wonder like what his actual medical diagnosis was.
I don't think they wanted to be on the nose about that because whoever wrote it, it's well actually we know who wrote it. We found that, but
Yeah.
he said he was in a toxic relationship. He was depressed at the time. He wrote it on like a vacation or something.
Yeah. It says it was Minion is his last name. Someone told him to write a script that we didn't know. No, I'm sorry. I'm reading something else here.
But anyway,
Why not write a low budget horror film? He spent 2 weeks cooped up in a hotel room overlooking palm trees. So he was in Barbados when he wrote this. 2 weeks alone with my demons, he says. I rented a typewriter. I pounded it out. One night he was staring out the open window and saw a group of bats flying out of an opening in the roof. A sign? It was like, oh my god,
I mean,
this
that's all
is
it
the
takes.
universe speaking to me.
he just picture Peter saying that this is the universe.
I love that the whole thing took him 2 weeks to write, and that was it.
I mean, hey,
It's beautiful. The result was Vampire's Kiss.
what a great movie. We could just talk about like the highlights of Nic Cage's performance. I love because he'll pick something in the script and he'll be like, I want to do this with this performance, and he wanted to cry in the movie. He wanted to work boo-hoo into crying, and he did that. He wanted to make the alphabet dynamic, and he did that.
Amongst very, very many other things.
And because it's a vampire movie, he wanted to reference Nosferatu as much as possible. He did that too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it also kind of goes into what's the name of that movie? Lebrunts, or the director, the vampire. I don't know old directors and shit. So
I mean,
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. That's the name of the vampire. The name of the vampire is Nosferatu. I think
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. Yeah.
Nos, like NOS.
Yeah.
Nos.
And yeah. NOS.
Nosferatu.
Fearato. I think Nosferatu.
Well, you
whatever.
see his character Peter actually watches that movie.
It
In
shows
the
him
movie.
watching it. Yeah.
So not only is Nic Cage portraying that, but that character in his mind being a vampire, that's a vampire to him. You see that. So,
That's
there's
what he
that.
wants to look like as a vampire. Yeah.
I can't state enough like how great his performance is. I couldn't take notes on everything because I can't write down like his quote. Like I tried it. You can't write down his quotes. You just have to watch the movie, man. It's fucking insane. It's remarkable. His outbursts, his poses, everything.
I love the emphasis on random words.
Yes.
He said Tuesday. Like he just like yelled the word Tuesday, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, and it's just brilliant. It's fucking brilliant, man. So yeah, he's a big dick to Alba.
Poor Alba.
There's an interesting thing where he's going in and out of his apartment, and again, this movie is for me was really enjoyable. Thinking that he was actually turning into a vampire because you think he's actually kind of a more normal.
That's what they wanted. Yeah, that's what they wanted at first.
More normal type person. So the extravagant things that he does seem extra extravagant. If you knew that he was batshit fucking crazy, like you see by the end of the film, then it's like, oh, okay, I get it. He's just fucking nuts. But I'm thinking the whole time it's Nicolas Cage being extra, which he was, but it kind of makes sense with his character, actually losing his mind. There's a mime scene with mimes.
Oh, the mimes.
Outside of his apartment.
Will they just do the same thing twice?
Yeah, they have a dance
They're dancing.
fight scene.
And they slap, and then I guess they just go right back to dancing because we come
No,
back
she
out to doing
spits
it
on
again.
him. She
spits on him too, yeah.
mime spits on him.
Yeah.
So it seems like he actually slaps her though. He doesn't seem to mime slap her. Like you hear,
That's how good they are at miming.
they're so good that you just
Yeah.
imagine the slap.
Maybe she clapped and you just didn't see it.
Ah, okay. Smart.
That's how you mime.
Oh, also going back to weird things in the movie, we think that this is actually right after the mime dance fight, which we see twice. When he's getting fed on again for the
Oh yeah,
second time.
Rachel, her name is. Yeah, I think it's the same shot.
Yeah, it
when
looks
she's
like
on her second time.
we think it's the exact same shot from the first time that she bites him and the second time that she bites him. Like it literally looks like the same footage.
I'm pretty sure it's the same shot.
Being reused, which is fucking awesome. Like I actually respect that a lot. And then they also did the mime dance fight twice. So I don't know if there's some kind of synchronicity there.
Yeah, I don't know.
So not too long after that, so he's getting crazier and crazier, and then that's where, and poor Alva, man, he's just like the whole movie.
I think that's the first thing I said when I saw her character, and you didn't get what I was going for, but
well,
yeah,
you're like poor Alva. I'm like he wasn't that bad to her, like whatever. But every scene after that just gets worse and worse and worse, and he's like the worst bully ever. To like his like, I don't even think she's his secretary. She just works there, and. Like, she doesn't work for him. She works there, and he is, of a higher ranking. But he just pinpoints this one fucking person.
Yep.
And it's just so...
There was one scene where I pointed out, it was just like, try talking to somebody like that. When you ask someone a question, and when they're answering you, you just sigh and look away. Like
yeah.
He goes...
Well, he, like, asks her about this file or contract or whatever. And he's like, so, Alva, where is... this contract, tell me about it. And she starts telling him, and while she's talking, he's just like,
just so. And
she's like, she's like, well, Sarah, I think it's over here. And she's like, like, God damn, poor Alva. So I didn't put it in the notes in here, like as, how bad she actually gets it, but it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and eventually. He's sitting in his office, and he can't even say Alva at first. He's like,
oh yes, that's after the second bite, right?
Alva,
yeah,
Alva.
He starts shouting her name,
Alva, and he's like screaming it, and everyone in the office can fucking hear it. Alva can hear it, and she's like, oh my god,
she doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, she's like, holy fucking shit, this guy's fucking crazy, and she doesn't respond to it, which obviously makes him even madder. Because he's a fucking psycho, and just, and he runs out, and he goes, there you are!
I think he jumps up on the thing, and he points at her, he says, found you.
I have it, there you are.
Oh, maybe it is there you are. I don't know.
And then jumped on desk. I don't know if he jumped, I think he jumps on the desk, which, by the way, is a baller move by Nic Cage. Like, he double jumps and lands on both feet on the desk. Like, it's not like one foot landing after another.
Pretty sure that's his own choice. That was just his choice.
Yeah, he's just like, what? Lands on this desk, and he's like, there you are! And he fucking chases this poor fucking lady into the bathroom, and,
oh, the old lady in the restroom.
Yeah, old lady.
We both were like, what is her... Because she's just like, what the fuck is happening here? And then she leaves.
Yeah, this old lady just, like, took a massive dump, and is like, what the fuck is going on?
Because she's standing there with her purse, she's like, I have a gun, and she just goes, what the fuck is happening here? And she leaves.
And then walks away.
Can you imagine somebody... I can't imagine just like, should I call the police?
There's like a person being attacked in front of you, and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
And then you leave.
And then you literally walk.
I'm just gonna fuck off, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
Not even in fear or anything. It's not like she ran away like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. She's like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's gone.
And then gone. And then like a scene later, she's like, are you okay, Missy? Like she goes to Alva, she's like, are you okay?
After the fact.
It's like, yeah, after I just got fucking raped in the bathroom or whatever the fuck just happened.
Thanks for checking on me.
Yeah, god damn.
And then cut to Nic Cage in the meeting room with
like all the executives
laughing about what he just did.
Yeah. They're laughing, well, because Alva wanted a raise because she's getting harassed at work, and she's like, if I'm going to still work here, like, y'all got to pay me more. And they're like, ha ha ha, what a dumb bitch for wanting more money.
HR in the late 80s.
Yeah. It was another time, I guess. And then he starts doing the crazy eyes, so he's becoming more and more a vampire, and he starts doing them.
Crazy eyes are he's absolutely referencing Nosferatu there.
Yeah.
I showed you the picture.
But he's Nic Cage, so he does it, like, extra big.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
You've all seen the meme.
I can't do it. And then that's when I started thinking, and you kind of mentioned, like, is this made up? Like, is he actually a vampire? Is he... So...
I just started hinting at you.
I wouldn't have caught that had he not mentioned it. So I would have gone almost this whole movie thinking that he's actually a vampire. I did up to this point thinking that he was a vampire. Even up to the point where he catches a roach in his apartment.
Yes.
Like a big roach.
Just Nicolas Cage puts 110% into every performance.
So roaches and shit carry diseases. Where'd they get this roach from, and how they know it wasn't diseased? Did they get it from a roach farm that's like clean? Did they spray it with
Did Nicolas Cage care?
Apparently not.
He just ate it.
Like straight up.
Ate a roach. And it was just like a 5-second scene.
God damn.
Just
Fucking crazy.
ate it. And you were like, eat it. And I was like, don't careful what you wish for. 'Cause he just ate it. He full
I mean, I thought he would eat it in the movie. I didn't think the actor would actually eat it.
Mm-hmm. Just ate a roach.
That's fucking dope. Respect. And then so he's, more shit goes on. I mean, we don't have to recap the whole thing. He's in a cab. So he picks up Alva because she calls out sick from work because she's being fucking harassed at work. And she's scared to go.
And
So
her family's terrible to her.
Yeah, no one believes her. Her mom's like, you need to go to work, you fucking lazy bitch.
Get your little ass out of bed. And was like, come on, Mom.
And she's like, no, I'm getting harassed. And she's like, I've had bad bosses too. And it's like, dude.
Dang. How about one that's in the middle of a mental break?
Jesus
Thanks.
fucking Christ, man. Maybe she didn't really explain like how bad it was, but I mean, if you're so, you would think that she would know her daughter well enough that she wouldn't just call out of work just because her boss is a dick. But yeah, her mom's awful, and then she calls out sick, and then he shows up at her house. He drives out of the city,
takes a taxi,
the whole thing.
He guilts her about spending money on it too.
Later, well, first he's real nice. He's like, hey, just wanted to say, like, I'm sorry I'm such a dick, and, let's fucking call a truce.
Full on gaslighting.
Yeah.
That's just like being a terrible person.
And he's like, let's call a truce, and, let's call a truce, and it'll be okay, and we'll just start fresh, and, whatever. And he's like, it's my fault that I was such a dick to you, and you shouldn't even feel bad about it, or whatever. Don't even worry about the account. And against all of her better judgment, she's like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll come to work with you. So they get in the cab together, and then, of course, he just starts fucking screaming at her again. In his fucking cab, and getting sick simultaneously.
Oh, yeah, coughing and stuff? Yeah.
He pukes in the cab.
He puked?
Yeah.
I thought he was just, like, hacking.
They don't actually show the vomit, but I'm pretty sure he pukes in the back of the cab.
I
can't
imagine being a cab driver and letting somebody stay in your cab after being like that.
Well, he's just like a little old guy. He's just like, you gotta.
Because I think he said. Yeah, he called her a cunt while she was in there.
Yeah, he's screaming.
He gets out of the car to go talk to her. She gets out of her car to go talk to her brother,
Emilio.
He talks about. He calls her a cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would kick that. I'd do that out of the. Are you going again?
Yeah, keep going, man. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'd kick him out of the car.
Yeah, that cabbie is like way too sweet, and he talks about like.
He talks about his wife and how a special. That just goes on into the theme of the movie, really. Yep. This is his. He opened the tap early. What's next? Oh yeah, she has him pull over. He gets out, talks to her brother, who gives her blanks. I had to point that out too. You didn't notice that he was giving her blanks.
No, he says it.
Yeah, but I was like, that's gonna come up later on.
Right. That's starting to catch on at this point.
Yeah, this is after though the scene where he looks at himself in the mirror.
No, this is.
Was it right before, or was this?
I think it's right before that scene.
It's right before that scene, yeah.
Because I'm thinking like, that'll come up later, or maybe I don't remember the order of it. When I knew for sure that it was all in his head is there's a scene where he's in the bathroom and he's like looking at himself in the mirror and he's like, oh my god, I'm not here. Like, what the fuck? I'm not here. But you can see him. You can see his reflection, but obviously he cannot see his reflection. Therefore, they are telling you
he's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy. It's all in his head, obviously. So that was the defining. Up till that point, I was not sold. I mean, you kind of talked me into it. I thought it was just a theory at that point. I thought it would have been one of those movies.
You were like, "This is a great theory." I was like, "Mm-hmm."
Well, I thought it might have been one of those things that the whole movie could play out, and it could just be a theory by the end of it. It's like, what if it all was in his head? You know, like one of those things. But it becomes very obvious that it is. Yeah. So, you know, he's a dickhole to Alva. The cab driver is like really nice to him, even though he's a fucking asshole back to him. He's yelling in his cab. He gets sick in the cab. We don't know if he pukes or not. I think he pukes in the back. And then poor Alva goes in and talks to her brother, and she's like, "There's this fucking psycho fucking out here, and I fucking need like bullets for this gun that you gave me." And he's like, "I gave you that gun just to scare people." And she's like, "This guy I actually need bullets for." And he's like, "Nah, like I'll maybe like it." She's like, "I have some blanks that I can, you know, I gave to my friend and that worked for him." And she's like, "Well, give me the fucking blanks because I need fucking something for this guy." Which should have been a red fucking flag immediately.
What is wrong with her family?
And not only that, but I think Alva fucked up getting back in the cab.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
booked it,
yeah, I feel like once she's out of the cab, because she gets in, because he tricks her into the cab. He's all nice. He's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry."
And
you know, all that stuff.
again.
And then then he's literally yelling at her again and being a goddamn fucking psycho. She's already threatened him with a gun multiple times, and now her brother won't give her real bullets. I would not get back in that cab. You're done. Let him fucking freak out. Let him fire you. Let him do whatever the fuck, because like, he's obviously mentally unstable. He obviously has a grudge against you, and he's never gonna let it go. And that's just fucking how it's gonna be. So she fucked up. I'm not. I don't.
Well,
I hate blaming the victim.
Poor Alva.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
poor Alva. But like, don't get back in the cab, man. Like that's. But also like, shame on your brother. You know,
Shame on her whole family.
Yeah, she's literally telling her brother, like, hey, who gave her the gun that she's carrying. She's like, "I need bullets for this because I'm being harassed and I don't know what to do. And I'm in a position where I need real bullets."
I would never give my sister a gun without bullets. I don't know what that is, but
well, not only that, but I wouldn't necessarily give her the bullets, but I'd be like, "Well, hey, just stay with me. Like, don't get back in the cab with that guy. Like, how about just like, well, you know, we'll work something out, but like, stay
out there. He's just out there being like,
yeah,
you know, being crazy Nic Cage."
So her family's awful. They don't take her seriously at all. The cab driver, again, he's a little old guy, and he just fucking, you know, he gets underpaid. I don't even think he gets tipped, really. Like Nic Cage.
When he drops him off, he just like throws his cash at him, like he's pissed at him, even though it was.
He's mad. He's like, that's all the money I had. And then, you know, fucking, you know, whatever. Vampire Vuhu. That's when he cries. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, when that's another thing that. So when like I said, Nic Cage gets a script and he'll pick out a thing that he wants to try to do in a film. He wanted to make the alphabet dynamic, which he did when he was talking about filing.
Mm-hmm.
He just stood up and, you know, ended it with "huh," which was just incredible. And he wanted to make crying. He wanted to boo-hoo on film, and he wanted to make it into an actual, like, he wanted to make it work as crying. I think he did the best he could with boo-hoo.
Mm-hmm.
He made it more of a boo-hoo, but...
Well, it's like a vampire, too. It's like, boo-hoo.
A little bit. After he tried to, like, he tried to shoot himself with blanks, which would actually...
probably hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, I can't imagine it feeling good.
Maybe there were specific types of blanks that just didn't.
I don't know.
I mean, obviously it didn't.
I'm never gonna try it. You know, it's just like whatever.
I put a note on here which we're not going to get into now, and I mentioned it earlier, but I want to know what kind of mental disease he had. Like, is he schizophrenic? Is he bipolar? Is he
definite hallucinations and definite? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you know, if anyone has any ideas about that, just comment about it, and we'll, you know, probably not look into it.
We're just gonna move on to the next movie. You know, we're gonna finish this review and move on to the next one.
He eats a pigeon. That's pretty cool.
He does.
Yeah, he
not on camera like with the roach, but he does.
Yeah, yeah, it's not on camera, but that's kind of cool. And then the rest, you know, honestly, I think I'm kind of done with just the facts of the movie and stuff. Y'all can watch it. We don't have to talk about it
There's one thing I want to bring up at the end where, just at the peak of his mental break, he is talking to a wall. He thinks he's talking to his therapist, and he says, "Don't laugh while I'm saying this. While I'm telling you what my problem is." And the therapist says, "I'm not gonna laugh," and then she does.
And she laughs in his face. Yeah.
I think that was the screenwriter. I think the screenwriter put that in there. He didn't want people to laugh at his pain. And people watch the movie and they laugh at it. It's hilarious.
It's meta.
I think it's meta. I was watching. I was just like, "That's meta."
Cool. So, Gage and Cage. So, I think we should do... This is our first episode ever of doing this.
How are we going to rank it?
Yeah, so I think we should do 2 rankings. We should rank the movie as a whole.
Movie, yeah.
And then we should rank it as a Nicolas Cage movie.
As a Nic Cage performance.
Nic Cage performance. His performance was obviously 5-star.
5-star performance, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Just watch it, and if you argue against it, you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. It's one of his best.
It's amazing.
His
His performance.
I guess he just puts 110% into everything he does, so it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
As a movie, I think, it was a screenwriter who was going through some stuff. He wrote down the way he felt. He saw bats. He thought vampire. It was just writing. He was just writing through his pain, which I can feel that. A new director. The editing was shaky. You want to do stars for this one too?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2.5 or 3 out of
Really?
5. Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed it as a movie because they had an idea and they tried to execute it. I think they executed it decently. It could have been executed better. I think they did a good job.
Yeah. So I would have given it a low ranking until I realized that he was actually crazy. Because I was watching this movie as if he was actually a vampire. And I'm watching this, I'm like, this movie fucking sucks. His performance is amazing, but I'm like, oh, God. But then once you find out that it's all in his head, that bumps it up for a whole other star and a half, or whatever the fuck. I think it was too long.
Mm-hmm.
Way too long.
Yeah, it could have been edited better. Cut the fat.
Yeah, it just goes on. There's just some unnecessary shit in it. It just kind of gets boring and weird. And, Nick Cage saves the whole thing. The whole movie is all about his performance.
Mm-hmm.
So as a whole, 3 to 3.5. Because it is really good. The twist at the end, if you don't see it coming, which I can't imagine how you could. Maybe I'm just really dense. But, yeah, it sucks, but then you get that twist, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
There's
always that point where
some...
anyone who watches it for the first time, there's always that point where people go, "Oh, I get it now."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, and that's it. That's a Vampire's Kiss.
5 stars, Nic Cage. 3-star movie as a whole.
Yeah, go watch it.
I'm set on that.
What do you want to do next? Raising Arizona.
Let's do Raising Arizona next.
I love that movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Same.
I don't think you haven't either.
I haven't seen it in a while, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll maybe sit down and watch that one too,
and
then go back and review it. I mean, that's a great one.
I'm good
John
next
Goodman is in it.
Yeah, good old Coen Brothers cast. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll try next week. What is it? Wednesday.
We'll
Wednesday. Yeah, maybe around the same time.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Sweet. We'll see y'all next week. Was it not Raging Cage? It's Gage and Cage. Gage and Raging Cage.